Yo, what is going on YouTube? Welcome to the channel. I'm your host DeadEyeLotus, and I'm here to bring you the ultimate PvP guide to any player out there who is looking to join the Division 2 PvP community. Whether you are a rookie, an intermediate, or maybe even expert, this could be a refresher for you. I'm here to list 5 points that I think are crucial to the success of your PvP experience in this game. So without further ado, let's just jump right into this. The first things first, before you even begin touching into the conflict or the dark zone of the game, the number one thing that you want to prepare yourself for is to have the most optimized settings to your experience as possible. That way you will have no disadvantage under your belt to enter the PvP realm. So let's jump straight into it. First and foremost, you want to go under the gameplay tab, come down over here, turn the show damage numbers to on. That way you can constantly be aware of how much damage you're putting out to your opponent. Let's continue downward here. First setting in the book that I think is really underrated but helps out a lot, it's the little things that matter. Show numeric skill cooldown time. Now what this does, you will have your skills cooldown in a pending format, meaning the skill is resetting from right to left, but it's not in a numeric format, giving you that precise time frame of when your skill can come back. Toggling this to yes will give you that exact number to proc your next skill, which helps you anticipate your opponent a bit more carefully so you can time that skill to proc whenever you need. So here we go, the nitty-gritty of the settings that I wanted to showcase to you guys. Additional field of vision. Now you want to set this to 25 at max. Let's quickly put this down to 0 so I can show you how it looks when it's toggled to 0. I'm gonna place my character at the center of the screen facing forward, and let's observe what is the furthest left and right angle that my screen is capturing. On the left hand side I have the back right wheel of this tire right here, and on the right hand side I have about half power right there. Now let's quickly go back into the setting, readjust it to max. And as you can see, voila. Okay, same position. My character is facing north, but now I can see not only the full tire of this vehicle here, but also the trunk and now the tree. Okay, which is super important because in PvP, you might be unaware of a blind spot of a teammate of one of the opponent. So having as much degrees onto your screen is going to give you that optimized view of seeing everything out there. Now moving on to the UI, there's only one important thing here that I want to touch on, and that is the scrolling combat text. Now remember earlier in the gameplay tab that it says that you want to have your damage numbers set to on, right? Well, this goes in conjunction with this setting right here, scrolling the combat text. So anyone who wants to see their damage registration numbers onto the right hand side for console, I believe on PC it's down below left hand side, you want to set this to floating. Floating will enable it for it to float down, kind of like a raindrop, so it gives you more time on the screen to see the exact number before it disappears. Now moving on forward onto the fourth tab, which is controls. This is a very important one, guys. Camera sensitivity and the aim sensitivity. Okay, now quickly let's toggle this all the way down to 0, right? And as you can see, I'm moving my right analog stick. Look how tight the camera is moving from left to right. In PvP, oh my god, I can't even strafe properly. This is how bad it is and how important this setting is, guys. If I had to list one important setting that you have to adjust right now, it would be this right here. I can't even move. So look how it is, right? I can barely sprint, you know? It's kind of like Call of Duty where you need to adjust your camera angle. It's the same thing. I literally have the stick all the way to the right, but it's going so slow, it's so rigid. Now let's go back to that setting and put it all the way up to max at 20, right? Now let's run at the same time, do it exactly what we did. Look how smooth and butter this thing feels now. Left and right goes quick, right? It's in quick responsive time. There's no resistance, right? My character's moving just fine, everything's just good. Now this is important right here, okay, because it's going to increase your mobility of your character, and movement, guys, in this game is everything. If you cannot strafe, if you cannot move your character, I don't care what build you have, you are going to die. That's it. Now let's put the aim down back to 0. I can showcase the ADS format. This is at 0 max, okay, left and right. I can barely go left and right, so rigid. Now let's go back to it and bump it up back to max, how I had it. Now look how quickly this thing rotates from left to right. Super important, guys, okay? Because let's say the player gets onto your left hand side. Let's say he begins right here at the car, that wheel, and he moves to the left, right? Our left and his right. You want to be able to make sure to follow along with him. That way you can have your reticle hovered over him to begin your firing. If it takes longer for you to get to him, he has his setting on to max. He can already be here and start shooting at you, putting out damage to you. And now you're already way behind. You're playing catch up to even put yourself in that position to get the last kill. Super important, guys. You want to make sure you have that at max as possible. Controller vibration, I set this to off because when multiple skills and weapons are ongoing, I feel like the vibration kind of throws off the recoil of my shooting, so I decided to turn it off. That's my personal preference. It does help me out because I have one less thing to worry about that's going to affect my joysticks. So, you know, give it a shot. Maybe it'll help you guys out as well. This is another big one here. Check this one out. Left stick dead zone size and the right stick dead zone size. As you can see, I am set to 0. Adjust the size of the left stick's dead zone. A smaller size makes the left stick more sensitive to input, and the same thing for the right. Now let's set this up all the way to max. Now it feels okay, right? It's not too bad. You know, you might be saying like, I don't really see any difference. Now let's go back to it and readjust it to 0. Basically what it does, the detail in that setting is so subtle, is that it reduces the resistance of changing your lens and rotation of your character. So for the left stick, it enables your character to move a bit swiftly without any delay, any tension, any thickness to it. Same with the camera on the right analog stick. So mastering these two and playing it, the setting at this threshold, it's going to really put your character at a view where it feels like you're on mouse and keys. So there it is, you know, set your dead stick at to 0 on top of your camera and aim sensitivity, and you will be at the best optimized setting as possible for screen adjustment. Cover move around corner with button press. This one is pretty much the same thing on the one above it. If you set it to on, you would have to press a button to exit out of cover. So you want to make sure you have this set to off. Now this one right here is another important factor. Move around corner speed. The time it takes to move around corner and cover. You want to make sure you have this set to fast, right? Because the slower it is, the more delay you give yourself to get out of cover, therefore giving your opponent more time to shoot at you, right? All right, now let's go ahead and move on to point number 2 in the game, which is movement. And what I mean by movement, I'm talking about strafing. If there's anything in any PvP game that is crucial alongside the mechanics of the build, movement is up there top 3. A well-rounded player has mastered a fair amount of movement within the game over a good amount of time through repetition and experience, right? Facing this direction, let's kind of use this cardboard container right here as the target. And as we turn around this way, we're going to be using this general truck. So let's say we have an imaginary opponent in the dark zone. He's about to shoot you. 90% of the time that wins in these situations is not the build, is how you finesse. Move your character out of sight to decrease the best amount of damage as possible for yourself. Let's say the opponent's right here and he starts ADSing you right here. The best in that scenario, you want to get out of sight. So move around here. Imagine he's shooting directly straight at you. He's trying to face tank you. You get out of sight and you ADS him. Now let's say what's his next move, right? It's like a chess game. Let's say he does the same thing. He moves around. He doesn't face tank. And then as you're shooting him, he moves around and starts ADSing you. During that moment, don't trade bullets with him because now you'll be in the same position as right here. Only difference is you're doing it here. So just wait until he ADSs, do a little figure 8, try to get on this side, especially if he procs a shield where his left hand side or right hand side, doesn't matter, is exposed the most and you start shooting the body. Now in real time, he was probably going to be moving his body himself, trying to catch up to you right here, right? The same way, you kind of want to keep up with him and read your opponent. That's the best way I can put it. Get behind his blind spot, try to aim for the head as much as possible, get under his side, his behind. He might be thinking like, oh, you better shoot you right here. You got behind him, and now you're over here, and he's playing catch up. By that time, you've already dealt a fair amount of damage to him. Now he has to reholster his shield, get out of sight, move a little bit so he doesn't die at that point, and now you're pretty good. You know, you haven't taken that much damage. I hope you're still moving around, being patient, looking for that right sweet spot, and that timing. Timing is everything, guys. So that's the best way I can put it. It's just about a matter of mastering the blend of the settings in real time. You can kind of get some practice in with a clanmate or a buddy, do some friendly 1v1s. You can kind of build a skill. It takes a bit of practice, getting used to. Be patient, don't be thirsty for the kill, and over time you'll kind of get used to the feel of it. Now let's go ahead and move on to point number 3, which is group synergy. And there are 3 sub points under this category that I mean exactly, and those are communication, teamwork, and strategy. You need to have all 3 of these blended well together. No one is better than the other. You're only as good as your team, and having these 3 under your belt fully mastered is going to be the key component to the success of fighting servers, 4v4s, whatever the case may be. Let's go ahead and take a peek to this clip right here. Check this out, guys. Killer right here, he's popping a med kit, but I see that Jollibee is making a flank on his right hand side, so I make sure to tell Killer that you got a guy coming to your right. At the same time, I'm aware of these players coming up on this tunnel right here, so I ADS a little bit. My teammate threw an EMP sticky bomb. That was great, giving him that stagger to finish him off, right? So one player is down. I'm on fire, so I'm trying to move around. I ADS too much. Make sure to get out of cover. Now I push my teammates. I feel like they need some help, but I turn around right here. I see that those guys are probably going to push on unknown, so I stay with them. Pull back, put some damage on Jollibee. He's really low, and my teammates finish him off. Now at this point right here, we've pretty much wiped a good fair amount of that group right here. So we decide as a unit to make that aggressive push. You want to be able to differentiate when to pull back, disengage, and when to put on the gas pedal and become aggressive. There's a time and place for everything, and we made sure they did the push. We kind of hold our ground and see how the opponent plays us, and boom, that is how you handle a multi-group as a team. Let's go ahead and take another look at a different clip. Now let's pause this for a second. As you can see down below, my teammate Coldboy has just been killed. Now is left with me, unknown, and its killer. Okay, now keep in mind of all the multiple people we are fighting in this server. Essential tip is, once again, strategizing carefully, communicating with them, and playing with each other. Teamwork at all times. So I push a little bit. I realize the healer hive is not out there, so I decide to pull back, come back into the hive. My guy Killer hits me with a nice chem, so I take under cover, try to put out a little bit of damage, be patient. And as you can see, we have a pesky skill build mortar guy in the back somewhere. I try to pull out from that radius to not take too much damage, reload a little bit, shoot my EMP sticky right on the money. Boom, he's low, but he gets away, but don't push too much. Now we have a guy here on the left hand side pushing, so I try to get for the kill. And as you can see here down below, it says I have taken him down, so that's great. We have one less player to worry about, right? Now I get hit right here, I get staggered, I roll out of the way. Now let's pause it right here. As you can see, that mortar shot now has killed our healer. Unknown right here is very low, at the brink of death. I'm really low too. Let's go ahead and play it again. Me and Unknown are communicating to trade off keeping the aggro on the players. Boom, I one tap this guy. I believe his skill builder, don't really know, and I keep the aggressive on. As you can see at the bottom right, he's still reviving him. So stuff like this, you know, as soon as you're good, go back out there, give your teammate the time to pick him up, and just have faith and trust that your teammates are going to come right behind you and back you up. Now moving on to point number 4, know the counter to each build, guys. No build or no weapon in this game has overpowered than the other. Sure, there are a couple of talents that stand out and has enough damage than another, but as far as cohesiveness in the final result of the build, no build has a bit more advantageous than another without having a weakness. AR builds are great, but its weakness lacks up close. If you have a player with a shotgun right in front of you, then hey, the AR player is at crucial position. Shotgun build weaknesses are ARs. They don't have the capacity to shoot pellets within a certain peripheral. The shotguns and ARs are kind of like the psychic and ghost elements in Pokemon, where they're kind of super effective against each other. Whichever one gets the first damage kind of wins. They're both really good at each other, depends on which player is clever enough to capitalize on that weapon and the position. But generally speaking, you kind of want to play the role to the build that you are utilizing. If you have a healer, take him out with the shotgun. If you have a skill build, you can either beam them with an assault rifle or take him out with a shotgun. So no really build in the game is more stronger than another. You just gotta be versatile, you know, have some versatility in different builds so that you can shift to that build when the situation calls for. And finally, point number 5, which is really self-explanatory, and that's have the builds, guys. We got 16 loadouts in the game. At the recent update, you want to make sure you have a good balance of each build that counters another. You have a healer build in there, a very well-rounded assault rifle build, an SMG build, throw some spice in there with an armor regen. All these different variables really help out the supportness of your team. That way you can shift to it at a moment's cause, right? So you never want to limit yourself at being good at only one thing. Having some versatility in there, in my opinion, I think is crucial because, hey, you know, you're well-rounded. You know, you have no weaknesses. You're good at pretty much everything. And who doesn't like that, right? Yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. These are my top points that I think is essential to the game. If you guys liked the video or thought it was useful in any way, shape, or form, please drop a like down below and subscribe to your boy, as I'll be having more content coming in the future. The Division 2 Heartland, guys, is coming right around the corner, so I definitely will be putting out content for that. Stay tuned for that, guys. Stay close with me on Twitter. That is the platform where I'll be posting my future live streams and any sort of content coming along the way. You guys have a good day, and until then, Lotus out.